Welcome into Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. Welcome into the show, Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. Today is Monday, August 17, 2020. Where does time fly? Where does all the time go? I got to tell you, being back on the scene, it really feels good. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button below. Turn the notifications on. Free play videos getting sent out, content being sent out left and right. The days, as I said, do get longer, but they get a lot more fun. Like I had to put my alarm clock today an extra hour ahead of time just because we have so many shows that we're doing. Starting up football this week on sportsbookreview.com. As you know, I do a daily baseball show. We do Sports Betting with Donnie in the morning, and then I do a couple videos for Pub Sports Radio in the afternoon, and on top of that, do some other content, free play videos for Sports Betting with Donnie and RightWager.com. So the time, I like to say, is now, and I'm really enjoying myself. Like all the content we're doing finally, on the shelf for 5 months, was able to pick up a premium play winner on Saturday night with some late inning magic on the San Diego Padres. Should have had some magic yesterday on a free play with the Padres. But the Padres leave 10 men on base, go 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and only score 4 runs. Should have had 8 or 9 runs in that game. But hey, is what it is on those free plays. We'll win more of those than we certainly will lose. That's for sure. Had a great run on free plays with our Pub Sports Radio plays of the day that were going on right up until we hit the pandemic. So we'll continue to chew on those and put those out daily. But again, hit the follow button because you are going to, 414 people have done so far right here on YouTube. You're going to get all those videos sent directly to your inbox, and we'll have another one today. It's a great bet, by the way, great baseball card. Hopefully we get some hitting weather to match up with some of these lineups that should be out today, but I'm excited about the Major League Baseball card. And again, getting that premium play winner going 1-0 over the weekend to open up Major League Baseball season. Slept like a baby and was really enjoying my Sunday yesterday. But it's a new day, new week, new money, as we like to say here in the business. So welcome to the show, Sports Betting with Donnie. We're going to get some things underway. There's a lot of really good hot topics that we're going to talk about. But as you know, with this news cycle that goes 24/7, 365, specifically right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and also on ESPN, I'm going to absolutely light the fuse on Daniel Snyder and the Washington. I'm just going to keep calling them the Washington Redskins at this point, how dysfunctional that organization is and how embarrassing Daniel Snyder is and what he's doing with the Washington Redskins. But that video will be out a little bit later. We're going to talk a little bit about the WWE. How about that? Yeah, what do you mean WWE? Talking about an interesting case of attempted kidnapping that took place over the weekend of one of the WWE's female stars. We'll go over that as well. Philadelphia Phillies sweep out the New York Mets, which was fantastic over the weekend. Always like pounding on the New York Mets, and the Phillies have a day off before they head up to Boston. I enjoyed watching the Phillies all weekend. Flyers picking up a W over the Montreal Canadiens yesterday, or should I say last night at 8 o'clock. What a boring-ass game, though. I mean, you're watching some of these other skilled teams around the league and skilled, matchups where they're putting up goals and have great plays. The Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens has been an absolute bore fest, and last night was another epitome of that. Just limited scoring chances on both sides. Power plays that are supposed to be all about finesse. Both sides just look just awful. The only good thing about the game is if you like goalie matchups, like if you like really good defense in the NFL, like the Baltimore Ravens, that Super Bowl run where they're scoring like 6 points a game and still winning. Carter Hart was great last night, and so was the Canadiens goalie as well. So, I mean, they were playing really, really good. Both birthday boys, too. Canadiens goalie, slipping my mind right now. Carey Price, 33 years old, and I believe 22-year-old now, Carter Hart. So welcome in, everybody watching the show here. Why don't we get into it right now? Because I do want to talk about some of these things here, and specifically the NBA is getting underway as well. So why don't we hit some hot topics? Start the conversation off on a Monday the right way. These are your Sports Betting with Donnie hot topics of the day. Yep. Finally. We wasted, a good month in the NBA bubble not working anything out that we really didn't know from the time these NBA teams got to the bubble. Wasted a lot of time, but it's still fun. I mean, if you like the NBA, it's probably fun. You guys watching down in the bubble, no defense, no scoring, games that don't matter. I mean, maybe one game mattered. Portland had to beat Memphis to get into the playoffs, but outside of that, nothing mattered. Seeding didn't matter. Seeding doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter if you're 1 seed, 2 seed, 7 seed, or 8 seed. It matters nothing. You're not going to be traveling. You're not going to be up against it. You're not going to be having to play 4 games on the other team's home court while you only get 3 games. Seeding absolutely didn't matter. So I guess maybe when they set the bubble up, they wanted the Pelicans to get in the playoffs because Zion is going to draw eyeballs, but they quickly faded out. And then it turned over to the Portland Trail Blazers. And I always like, fans of the NBA or fans of like certain teams out here, like, oh my God, Portland going to upset the Lakers. They're an 8 seed for a reason. They're hanging on to beat teams that aren't even trying at the end of the bubble. And all of a sudden, Portland's going to beat the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, come on, guys. They've been this before. Like, you're an 8 seed for a reason. You're a number 1 seed for a reason in the NBA. Come on now. My goodness. Let's get it together out here. Checking out the comments in the chat box here. Art's checking in. Austin is checking in. And Emza also checking in as well. All 5 platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and also Twitch. Sometimes I can't even see how many things are up there on the monitor. And also on rightwager.com. What's up, Donnie? Would you know if the sports books at Ocean's Hotel is open? Yeah, they're all open. Yep, they're open down there. Yep. Open for business. I believe they opened up, in late July, everything got going. Most of the casino hotels are open. I think if not all of them are open. I know my father always frequents the Borgata and also the Hard Rock, and my stepmother does like to play at the Ocean. So everything should be up and running down there as they go. But playoffs begin today in the NBA. And again, silly season is done. Silly season of hockey. Like, look, I'm a huge Flyers fan, right? And it was exciting that they won the last 3 games for seeding. Seeding for what? You're not going anywhere. You're playing in front of no fans in the same building. So if the Flyers had lost their 3 games heading into the playoffs and got the 4th seed, it doesn't matter. Who cares about seeding? Like, you're watching the Flyers and the Canadians. Oh, 1 seed versus an 8 seed. And Montreal was the 24th best team in hockey coming into the bubble. And it's really weird stuff. But it would be nice to see some really good basketball come back, because what we're watching in the NBA bubble is awesome for fantasy. And if you're just a casual fan and watching the NBA, it's a lot of fun because you're getting a ton of points. Most people are taking, fantasy wagers on DraftKings, FanDuel, or whoever on top of your sporting wagers. But it would be nice to see a little bit of defense get played as we head into the playoffs now, since, again, the teams didn't care about anything for the past month, not at all. Now you're going to see, hopefully, some defense get played, not ticky-tack fouls get called. It's playoff time, and that should be fun. And today the Sixers play the Celtics. I believe it's either 6 or 6:30 tonight, but I'll certainly be checking in to tune into that. But I do like the fact that the Flyers are going to play tomorrow. And that game's going to be a 3:00 afternoon game. I love those games, man. And good on the NBA, too, for actually recognizing, like, hey, we're in a bubble. Fans aren't coming to the games. Let's put these games all day long and just let it rip. 1:30 start in the NBA is awesome, man. Whether or not you like the NBA or not, that's cool things. That's a cool thing, and I'm glad that happens out here. Jacob Schaefer says Lakers D much better than – yeah, Lakers are way better than Portland Trail Blazers. Otherwise, the Lakers would be the 8th seed. Last I forgot, like, LeBron James is the best player in the NBA, and the best center in the NBA is AD. I mean, come on, man. That's why you get the number 1 seed, because the Lakers aren't playing well in the bubble. And the same thing will go for the Milwaukee Bucks. You should say the Milwaukee Bucks stink, and they should be on upset alert as well from an 8 seed, because they haven't been playing very well in the bubble, because they don't care. These teams don't care in the bubble, man. Stop it. Stop the madness out here on that. But again, gets going today. It's exciting. NHL playoffs underway. NBA playoffs underway. Baseball has been a lot of fun to watch. I've been really enjoying it. And we'll see where that continues. But let's keep it moving here. Justin Fields. Hey, this is a good one, right? Popping up over the weekend. And now you're seeing the blowback of how idiotic and how stupid the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are. We're seeing that now, aren't we? The parents, the players are saying, look, we are at the higher institutions here of learning. We go to the Big Ten. We're at the Pac-12, esteemed universities. We are all kids. We are all students. The staff, usually to get hired on a college football staff, you have to have a college degree typically. I still think that's the case. I know it's basketball. To be like a head coach, you have to have a degree. But these are highly educated people at these institutions, and they're not listening to science and data at all. Numbers that make sense. These kids are fine. They want to play. The parents want them to play. The fans want them to play. The only person that doesn't want them to play is the head of the Big Ten, who's a lawyer. If lawyers ran the world, we couldn't do anything. If lawyers ran the world, we wouldn't be able to drive in a car. If lawyers ran the world, we wouldn't be able to go out and play golf because you might get hit in the head by a stray golf ball. If lawyers ran the world, you wouldn't be able to go out and take a jog on a nice summer day because you might overheat and die. That's just the way it is. If lawyers had their way, we wouldn't be able to fly planes because one might go down every 50 years in the United States. It's just the way it is. And that's what the Big Ten went off of. had a guy who's just grandstanding and looking out for some ridiculous liability. Now, again, when we get back to that liability part, right, and what Justin Fields is, over 200,000 signatures, I believe, as of last night. That's all he was asking for was 200,000. Probably could have got 2 million signatures if he kept it going. But all they're asking for is transparency in the Big Ten, saying, look, there's no reason why we canceled football here. And you canceled football, and nobody's telling us why and what the next steps in the process are going to be. We didn't cancel and have a hardcore. We're talking about like the Big Ten with Ryan Day saying we're going to play 8 games in January and February. Who the hell wants to do that? Why would you? And then what? Play again in the fall? That doesn't make any sense. So the petitions are going around, and I would be hard pressed to see if maybe there's a backtracking here, because you can't just shut it down with no answers. And when all the scientific data points to these kids are healthy, should be playing, and the safest place that they can absolutely be is on campus. The safest place for these kids is to be playing football on campus, and they shut it down. So now you're seeing the upheaval around the country of what's going on, and rightfully so. It's the wrong decision. It's the wrong decision by the Big Ten and the Pac-12. SEC and ACC are pushing on. Now, look, Justin Fields' petition is pretty cool stuff. You know, using his platform in the right way to say, look, the Big Ten is doing a disservice to our young athletes here by canceling the football season. And the liability waiver that we talk about, oh, well, we're lawyers. We don't want liability if a football player gets hurt and somehow they try to link it back to COVID. Hold on. I'm watching around the country where thousands of kids are moving onto campus at these schools, paying tuition and living in dorms, where they might get tested one time heading into the dorm. You saw it at Notre Dame, the massive party. You saw it at Villanova, the massive parties that they're having. There's no liability on campus? What are we missing here? So I'm a Big Ten school. I'm going to have full classes on campus. But the 85 football players who get tested 2 to 3 times a week and are following by protocol can't play football because of liability. So 85 kids' liability is more liability than 10,000 students on campus. I must be missing something here. And that's why the petition and Justin Fields is so important, saying this is a scam. The Big Ten is scamming us. And I love the fact that one of the parents wrote in, it's like, look, no disrespect to Maryland and Rutgers, which he meant a lot of disrespect to, but Ohio State and some of the other football teams are on a different level. Like, they're playing to go to the pros. They're not out here just to get shit canned 50-0 on a Saturday afternoon and just say, hey, we're part of the Big Ten, Rutgers, Big Ten. Like, they're not doing any of that. So shout out to that parent who wrote that letter saying we do it a little bit differently at Ohio State than some of these other corny football schools. But good on them. But good on the Big Ten, good on those players who are actually sticking up for it. And I'm looking forward to a season, and you're getting, teams announcing, schedules that are coming out and who can play what here, what and where. Dabo Swinney. Hey, doesn't matter who's going to play this year. National championship will be crowned, and that's correct. And Ohio State and the Big 12 or the Pac-12 can sit that one out, and the national championship is going to get crowned. And by the way, who cares about it? Outside of Ohio State, who cares about anybody in the Pac-12 or the Big 10? Iowa. Come on, man. Nobody cares about them. Northwestern, Purdue, Maryland, Rutgers. Penn State's got their own cult in Pennsylvania. Outside of that cult, who cares about them? Indiana football. Boy, you can't go on without Indiana football, man. And Chicago's team, Northwestern, right? Stop the madness. Let these kids play. Good on Justin Fields for getting that back out there. But that was just an interesting thing that popped up over the weekend. Now you're seeing the backlash, and we wonder to see how it actually comes through and comes to fruition in the spot. Going to take a quick 1-minute break here. RightWager.com, 1-0 premium players. We'll be in premium play access tonight, by the way. So certainly check out the website. I'll be back in 1 minute. We're going to talk a little bit about Major League Baseball wrap-up and also the WWE kidnapping. Yeah, let's get into it. Hey guys, Donnie here with RightWager.com, your handicapping home on the internet. As you know, we specialize in NFL, Major League Baseball, and NCAA hoops. And as always, we are 100% verified on third-party CapperTech.com. If you are a gambler, this is your place to be. Affordable packages, 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, 6 months, and even up to a year. Also, when you stop by the site, you'll notice sports content right here with the live broadcast home of Sports Betting with Donnie. There is no better place to be in the handicapper community than RightWager.com. And as always, I like to say, what side are you on? Yes. What side are you on? The only side to be on, the right side. Cheap, affordable packages, man. This is what we do. 1-0. Already put some money in our members' pockets. We're going to do it again tonight. We're going to go over the baseball season, right in the football season, right in the college basketball season. And we are really going to get some work in here. Ray Yergs, how about this? What's up, Donnie? Spent a week in Cape Cod and feel completely regenerated. Good for you, man. Good for you. I need to get down to the shore. I need maybe one more shore run here before football starts up and before all my time is commandeered. But I have to tell you again, like just getting back to the basics of how long my work days have now become, just starting in the last week. And I'm here for it. And I love it. You know, get to bed at a decent time, get some stress in your life, still able to work out. I haven't been to the gym yet because our gyms aren't open here in New Jersey, but just doing like push-ups and dumbbells in my downstairs basement. Got a treadmill. Wife works out on the Peloton, which is ridiculous. I tried the Peloton for about a week, a year ago, or 2 years ago, whenever she got the Peloton, which I had to fund that for a Christmas present, which was great. But anyway, I can't stand it. I did it for a week. I can't do it. I hate it. It's so boring on that bike. I've always been a treadmill guy. Not so much running on the treadmill, but more like walking and doing intervals and stuff like that. I've done that. And I like the elliptical machine, but obviously I don't have an elliptical machine at my house. So just trying to stay healthy, trying to stay in there, eat the right things, do the right things. And maybe when the gym opens up to get back in, but I got to tell you, like I've been in the gym my whole life. The gym is probably the nastiest place to be, And if you've ever been to a gym, you know the locker rooms stink. They smell. They don't clean the damn bathrooms half the time. I'm just talking about LA Fitness, a larger gym too. Sweating all over the place. Nobody cleans up, sneezing and stuff like that. So I'm really not excited technically to get back to the gym knowing like where all the germs are and where they hide and whatnot. How about this though? WWE Kidnapping. Let's get into the story. Did anybody hear about that out here? There's so much sports going on that we don't pay attention to stuff like this. I hear you. But I got to tell you, man, this is a really interesting one. A man was arrested Sunday on a kidnapping charge at the home of WWE star Sonya Deville, which, look, I don't watch wrestling. I don't. Back in the day, I loved it. Hulk Hogan, and I was a monster NWO guy in the mid to late 90s while I was in college. That was a lot of fun for us running around, call each other the Wolf Pack and doing wrestling moves at football practice and all that nonsense that we did as teenagers and, young adults. But I don't watch the WWE anymore. You know what I really used to actually watch too when I used to come home was the ECW out of Philadelphia. I used to go right out of the ECW arena right off 95 in South Philadelphia. That was fun stuff to watch. And I still go back and watch some of the old highlights and videos of Extreme Wrestling. Those guys were just wild nuts. Sabu and Tommy Dreamer, Sandman. And even why is my boy slipping my mind right now? The craziest dude, the brother. Who was the crazy? God, I watch his videos, damn near like once a week was how insane he is. Hold on. This is getting on my nerves now. Let me just look it up right now. ECW wrestlers. Francine was the one girl who used to walk into the ring. Paul Heyman, Rob Van Dam was in it way back in the day. Shane Douglas, Terry Funk. Come on, man. Where's my man at? New Jack. Jesus, I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Everybody ever see any highlights or anything from New Jack, man? What a knucklehead, man. Stabbing people in the ring. But that was real wrestling to me back in the day. The crowd chanting ECW. That's when I used to watch. But Philip A. Thomas was arrested and charged with 3 felonies, attempted armed kidnapping, armed burglary, and aggravated stalking at a home in Lutz, Florida, according to police. So you had one of those fanboys. He's 24 years old, drove from South Carolina to Florida. And I believe, what did he have here? He was carrying a knife, plastic zip ties, duct tape, mace, and other personal items. Like just a straight psycho. Now, here's the interesting part of the story, which I don't really understand too much. It says he arrived down there and went on the porch after the homeowner went to bed at 2:43 and then went through a sliding glass door, a back sliding glass door. Triggered the alarm. The people in the house were able to get out. They called the police. He stayed there at this residence. He stayed there. Deputies involved suspect disturbing obsession with this homeowner who he had never met but stalked on social media. See all you nut jobs sometimes out there on social media? Like just taking it really too far, like being obsessed with somebody that you see on screen, on TV, YouTube, TikTok, and you just have to get real close to them. Like you're going to drive down there and you're going to stand on the front patio until they go to sleep and then go through a sliding glass door thinking you're actually going to abduct this person and do what? Take them home? Probably got in there. This girl probably was going to beat his ass if he ended up saying it. But again, if you're a star, a celebrity, you're on TV, it comes with the territory. It's not nice, but it's just the way it is in the social media environment. Stalkers have been around since, way hundreds of years for famous people. It's just the way it is. The paparazzi, the stalkerazzi, the stalkers, the social media stalkers, because, hey, you can make an account with an egg and just harass people left and right and use burner phones and stuff like that. There's a lot of sick people out there. There really is a lot of sick people out there. And it's a shame it comes to it, but man, yeah, M's like, yeah, for months he was planning this stuff. And then he basically told him too. And how about this though? Look, I love it. I like Applebee's. I'm an Applebee's guy. By the way, if you don't know, Applebee's makes the best house salad on the planet, bar none. Just keep that in mind when you go there. Applebee's house salad, by far the best salad on the planet. Never would think that, but it's true. Salad Works, Panera, whatever those green places are, all those millennial joints to get salads. The best salad on the planet is Applebee's house salad. But anyway, so when I bring that up, is Thomas 24 is listed on his jail records as being Applebee's crew member. Don't surprise you, does it? So my man was working at Applebee's. Like, I'm about to date this wrestler who's 24 years old, which I did find out also that, where is this here? She's a New Jersey native, the first openly gay female wrestler in WWE history. But Renato, who's a former MMA fighter, has been with WWE since 2015. How about that? So from Jersey, 26-year-old. I wonder where she grew up. Name doesn't ring a bell from set, but then again, I don't know. Maybe she's from the north end. Still can't believe the weather. Anybody know who sang that actual rap lyric? Get on top of that, huh? Let me know. But anyway, that's an interesting story that pops up, the WWE kidnapping. I do want to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. We're going to pause for 30 seconds here. Sportsbookreview.com. You guys know I do a lot of work on Sportsbook Review. Major League Baseball show 130, crushed it. I actually had a pick fives. We behind the scenes, we do like a pick five. We'll pick 5 games, and then we'll open it up usually to the chat box. So we went 6-0 in the pick 5, and then on top of the 6-0, hit my play of the day. So it's been a lot of fun. Sportsbookreview.com. Actually going to start filming NFL content this Wednesday on the channels. Back in 30 seconds right here on Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. Hey guys, Donnie here with SportsBookReview.com, the single best place on the internet for video and also written sports content. You've seen me do a lot of videos on our YouTube channel at SBR Sports Picks, bringing you all the latest up-to-date information. And also, if you want to win at sports betting, it's always important to get the best lines possible. So check out SBRodds.com, SportsBookReview.com. All right, boys, Major League Wrap Up. I do want to talk a little bit about what happened. And look, I like to turn this into now, since we have about maybe 20 minutes left in, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball and also do a quick preview because there's a lot of really good hitting spots and hitting situations that I do want to get to here in Major League Baseball. But I want to talk about a little bit of the weekend wrap up and start to wrap it around to what it means to be like a gambler, specifically in Major League Baseball, and what you're looking for in this short sprint season, what's actually taking place. Because again, we started the season right in the middle of the dog days of summer, hot heat, humidity, and the ball's flying out of the ballpark. Strikeouts are still up. They're always going to be up because now in this new analytic stage and, launch angles and the Dodgers, all that innovative stuff hurts with runners in scoring position. Case in point, yesterday with the free play I put out, the Padres team total over 4.5. Only got the 4, but they went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They actually got 9 walks in that game and weren't able to cash in 5 runs, which is absolutely amazing when you think about it. But those, numbers that come in, the 3.5 is the team total, the 4 is the 4.5. So when you get to I don't really like to go over much 5s unless you're dealing with cores, because you're talking about getting 6 runs in a Major League Baseball game. Can they get it? Sure. Do they get it? We've seen teams already in the high teens, 17 runs I've seen already scored. Maybe even a 20 spot by the Yankees at one point. I can't remember. But we've seen a lot of scores. But also you're seeing some of the stats come out that you'd like to take a look at. And it's a short sprint season because usually when we're talking about August 17th, you've had hundreds of at-bats in already. And pitchers have pitches to 100 batters each side, lefties and righties. As you head down, those numbers stack up. So now you're trying to compensate for a few different things. But I have to tell you, I haven't figured out yet, and it's really ruining ruining a lot of stuff. There's Tony. There's my man. New York's finest right there. Always checking in. Thanks, Tony. But anyway, getting back to like what we're looking at. The doubleheaders are really messing me up here. And it's not that I'm betting them and losing them, because I'm not. I haven't bet an over-under yet or a doubleheader yet, 7-inning game. Because you saw like even games like yesterday where the continuation of the Rays-Blue Jays game, which was from the 4th inning, I believe, on Saturday, flipped over to Sunday, and then they play the second game, which is only 7 innings. Because it's taken away like some of the stuff that I like to look at. Maybe let's just let the numbers stack up, because on theory, it actually should be a little bit easier game to gauge. But again, you're only dealing with 7 innings. You still have a team or totals of like 8, whatever it is. I'm not even sure they're putting out team totals for those, because I haven't really checked all that in depth. But the 7-inning games back to back, if you have the better starting pitching and you don't have a great bullpen, you can really mask your deficiencies in those games, because theoretically your starter should be able to go 6 innings, and then you hand it over to your closer. So if you're up 3-1, you should go starter to closer and be the end of it. Same thing on the opposite side. Like if your starter struggles, he's still going probably 4 innings. So you don't have to cover up 5, 6, and 7 as opposed to 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But the grading and looking at it, and it just, my eyes don't mesh with it yet. Yeah, my eyes don't mesh with it. I don't doubleheaders in regular times through dicey. No, Emza, you bring up a good point too, because I usually stay away. But even if there's limited games on the board, you can maybe look at that first game and you can see who's pitching in it. You can also see the lineup come out and have a decent look. And again, the next game starts faster as well. Once that one game is over, back in the day of a real doubleheader, 9 innings, you take about 30 to 40 minutes, and then the lineup comes out. It's hard to sweep a doubleheader, and you don't really know who's active and available. So maybe if you're looking, let's just say at the New York Yankees, right, in their first game, Aroldis Chapman comes in to close it out, and he throws 31 pitches in the 9th. He's probably not going to come in game 2. You can sort of use that to your advantage. But in these 7-inning games, sprints and the totals are just a little bit interesting to look, and how differently these teams look at those games. And still, after 7 innings, once you get to the top of the 8th inning, they do put a man on second base. So you can certainly still hit some of those totals like you would. But just in a betting overall philosophy for what I'm looking at early in the season, I'm a team total over guy. I like to play overs as well, but I like to isolate. So I say, why don't you just take the game over? Yeah, that is true. But very rarely, I shouldn't say very rarely, but only a couple opportunities on a card do I look at and say, this lineup and this lineup should hit this pitcher and match it up and get, let's just say, 10 runs, right? But when you take a look at a team total, you can really isolate and say, this lineup should hit this pitcher, and if I do need it, should be able to hit this bullpen coming in. And specifically noted, you're not dealing with any, pitchers hitting anymore. I mean, I can't even, I'm so happy that it looks like Major League Baseball is going to stay out of the way and let the DH just stay in the National League. It's such a better product. Like, are we missing the pitcher that comes up repeatedly just to strike out, or maybe dropping down a bunt, or if you have a bet and there's a man on first and second, or second and third, or bases loaded, 2 outs, the pitcher just strikes out? We don't miss that. Nobody misses that type of nonsense. We really don't. And that's going to stay, which is great. So there's not a lot of adjustment to the team totals, but getting that extra bat in the lineup is really nice to deal with. And again, dealing with how some things play out later in ball games, where your star reliever, who's just a left-handed guy who comes in just to get that lefty, he's got to stay in for 3 batters, which is great. It's great stuff. Looking over the weekend, the Phillies swept the Mets, which I was happy about. The Indians bats are coming alive. Picked up an Indians winner on a team total late last week. Same thing I did with the Rays team total on sportsbookreview.com's Major League Baseball show. You're right, Emsa. Or getting injured running the bases as well. Correct. Braves 4-0 win over the Marlins. Marlins still playing good baseball, though. 9-6 overall. Braves 13-10. Phillies finally making some headway after getting their head cracked open from the Baltimore Orioles. The White Sox to get 11-11 on the season. One of those teams we thought might make that jump. We'll see if it happens. The Astros. You know what's interesting here? The Astros are winning, but the Astros aren't putting up any runs. That's a really bad Mariners starting pitching lineup, as well as a bullpen. I had a free play on Saturday, which was an expensive one, 5.5 for the Astros. I thought they would be able to damage Margevicius, the lefty, because of how well Houston's been hitting lefty batters. That didn't pan out. And even if you went back to the well yesterday with another average pitcher, Astros only pick up 3 runs, but they are picking up the W, which I guess is what's important to them overall. Twins get 4 runs yesterday. Needed 4.5 if you wanted that team total. I stayed away, didn't take it. Dobnak's been really good. How about him? 4-1 pitching on the mound, 1.42. He's been great. But I do like what the Royals are presenting, young team. Whit Merrifield, if Whit Merrifield ever gets it to anybody or ever gets to like a legitimate baseball team, he's going to be a flat out star. Like it just seems like that's one of the players where I remember the Phillies were sort of in it last year at the trade deadline and would have to give up too much. You're talking about a guy like 200 plus hits as a leadoff guy with power. I mean, what an awesome, like the Yankees will end up at the trade deadline with Whit Merrifield this year or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the rich always just get richer. He's a wonderful player. The Rockies and the Rangers, if you watch the show or any videos that I do on Coors Field in Colorado, it's always worth a play. Like when you see 90-degree temperatures, and typically the wind might be blowing out a little bit. You're not getting like, north side winds in Chicago, Wrigley. Anytime you see something in the 90s, it doesn't matter who's pitching in Colorado. It's such a big ballpark. The ball flies out of there, triples, alleys, just if you can knock it into the gap, so much room. It's almost like if your batting average of balls in plays, if you just make contact in Colorado, there's a really good chance that you're going to get some runs. Athletics, 15 runs against the Giants. I stayed away from this game as opposed to going with the Padres, which was outrageous. That the Padres lost that game, and outrageous they didn't get 5 runs. And even getting to the 9th inning, Archie Bradley came in and ended up getting the save. But here's Tatis Jr. is awesome. He is awesome. And what a great trade for the Padres a couple years ago to send out big game James and get back Tatis, White Sox, Tatis Jr. What a great, he's an electric player. He's going to be a lot of fun out there. So good for San Diego for the future with that kid. But it just goes to show like a young, aggressive ball player, which it is what it is. Manny Machado walks on a full count. Archie Bradley almost hits Tatis Jr. with 2 pitches inside on his elbow. And instead of just letting an absolute avalanche come down where Bradley can't find the plate, he swings and grounds out on the very next pitch. But still, there was some shots in the 9th inning. Tatis ended up, getting on base because that was a fielder's choice, got to third base. Tony Pham gets hurt with 2 strikes on. Pinch hitter comes in and watches a strike 3 right down the plate. So you could tell me that was just a free play. Like I was just hoping to win a little McDonald's money on that game. Still gets me angered. The Dodgers. Oh, is anybody stopping the Dodgers out here? Can anybody raise their hand in the chat boxes? How do you beat the Dodgers when they could be down, they could be not doing much, and they just absolutely positively rake? They are amazing, man. And we all thought they would be minus 500 or whatever to win the NL West to open the season. Yankees get the job done 4-2. I actually thought the Sox would be able to score a little bit of runs in this one. If you are a Yankees fan, good to see J Happ actually have a good start out here, right? It's actually good to have a nice start out of J Happ. Now you get Montgomery on the mound tonight. And guys, I still think the Red Sox will be able to hit them. I do. I think the Red Sox still will be able to hit these guys. Yeah, you can't beat the Doyers, man. Ain't nobody beating those Dyers. Los Angeles Dyers. I mean, look, and Walker Buehler's not even pitching all that well on the season as is. And I saw somebody tweet last, I can't remember. Like I follow a lot of people on my timeline, but I have a couple different things that I look at on TweetDeck. But I see the response are like, man, it's a shame Mike Trout is in LA and he can't get to the playoffs or have a good team. It's Mike Trout's fault. Like, don't feel bad for Mike Trout for re-signing with the Angels, the second fiddle, out in Los Angeles. Mike Trout could have went the free agent route and went to a team that was serious. And again, we say serious. Artie Moreno does spend some decent money, but they're not the juggernaut that the Los Angeles Dodgers are overall with income and different avenues that they receive, advertising and funds and TV and, gate at the gate, it's just not the same thing. It's 2 different realities that you look at. It's like the prestige with like the Lakers versus the Clippers in the same city. Same thing if you're looking at New York City. Yeah, I mean, the Mets are worth a lot of money, but the freaking Yankees, out to the Mets down in Queens and the Yankees up in the Bronx, it's a market difference in how much that franchise is worth and who watches it and the panache and style that they do it with. But it's the same thing in LA. Don't feel bad for Mike Trout. He re-signed. This is what he wanted. Mike Trout's never been that. If you remember a couple years ago where Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball would get on my, hey, Mike, you're the star here. Why don't you step out into the forefront and we'll put you on every commercial possible and just showcase yourself like you're our future. Now I'm good. I just want to play baseball and that's what I want to do. And they're not going to pressure them. Well, you have to do this. Like they're going to listen to and let their stars be what they want. But there's a reason why Mike Trout is in LA in a second fiddle role and he thrives. Maybe he wouldn't be. And again, Trout might be one of the best players to ever lace him up when it's all said and done. Maybe the best. But what allows him to be really comfortable is being outside of the spotlight in a spotlight city. And he wrecks it. He's not playing in high leverage games. He's not in the playoffs. He's not being crucified every night. Now, again, he's a world-class athlete, great guy on and off the field. You can't hate Mike Trout. I'm the ultimate hater. You guys know me. I hate everybody. It's really hard to hate Mike Trout in anything that he does because he just seems so genuine, sincere, that just jacked up dude out there going yard and having fun and winning MVPs and doing what he does. But maybe that's why he thrives. He could have chose to go the free agent route. He could have chose the Cubs. He could have chose the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, whoever. He could have chose any team he wanted to say, you know what? That organization is going to put me in the spotlight and is going to surround me with talent enough where I can win a World Series and be showcased in the playoffs every year. Mike Trout chose not to do that. So you can't get upset and say, well, I feel bad for Mike Trout. Nobody feels bad for a $400 million contract playing in L.A. and raking in. Maybe go down as the best, athlete of all time in Major League Baseball. Let's talk a little bit about Major League Baseball, the card today. And I'm going to bring up some stuff that I like. I won't bring it up on the screen. It just feels easier where I can use my monitors in front so I don't have to just keep on looking up and seeing what an actual number would be. Because I'm not really going to talk overall numbers. It's good. I joked on Twitter. It's good to see Robert Gsellman back for the Mets starting today. Made me laugh. That game really should go over. You're talking about Yamamoto and Zellman, who shouldn't be able to dominate either one of these lineups, even though the COVID Marlins are just something that we're going to have to take a look at, maybe make a 30 for 30 down the road here. But taking a look at some of the spots, now again, doubleheaders, which are really cramping my style, because even on Saturday, I was able to, thank goodness, get that Padres victory. But when you're taking a look at games, like you have two doubleheaders and rain all over the place, it's really hard to settle in. But you don't have a ton of A-level pitching on the card today, on a full card on Monday. And actually the good part about being in this, COVID landscape that we're looking at is the fact that Monday cards are good. Like Monday cards, you have maybe 5-6 games tops because the series would start up a little bit later in the week. Now with this COVID sprint, there's not a lot of days off. So now we're looking at full cards that can get us through. But there are some doubleheaders out here. St. Louis and Chicago looks like a day-night doubleheader, 5:15, or a twilight doubleheader, as they used to call it back in the day, 5:15, and then also the second game. Where's the second game listed here? I thought it was a doubleheader today, or maybe it just doesn't have the odds up. Why am I looking at this here? I got Chicago, St. Louis, 5:15, and then 8:45. Oh, okay, so I don't have any pitching matchups up there. That's why it didn't come up. But looking overall here, let's see what we got. So we'll go. I'm looking on one of these Roto Grinder sites, which I love. There's a lot of the sites that people ask me all the time. I don't really play fantasy baseball. Every once in a while, I'll put in a lineup for a couple bucks and see what happens. But I like to use fantasy sites for stats because they seem to be on the ball. The only thing I'm a little bit disappointed here in Roto Grinders this year, and I did say, and they're usually very good responding, and they did respond back, but they're not updating daily on the actual numbers of the hitters. So if the batter had 21 at-bats on the season, it's only showing 17 because last night. And in the short sprint season here, every single at-bat counts. I'm just a little bit upset that it doesn't look like they're updating as fast as what they were doing last year, but I hope they, get their acts together a little bit in that one. But look, talking about one of those games in the Bronx, like Montgomery's going to be on the mound today versus Perez. And when you look at on this early season, the lefty Montgomery, xFIP almost around 5. He's doing extremely well against lefty batters, which is what you're supposed to do as a left-handed pitcher. Now, from the right side, 365 weighted on base average, which 325 is the average, so that's elevated. And an ISO, a power number of 0.283. So he's giving up some shots. He's letting guys get on base. Not a ton of strikeouts. If we look at both left side and right side, it's only about 15%. So the balls are getting in play. And there's a lot of hitters in that lineup, that Red Sox lineup, that have done well this season versus left-handed pitching. Kevin Pillar, 361 weighted on base average. JD Martinez, 358. Xander Bogaerts, 442. Vasquez, 367. Verdugo, 343. Chavis, 374. There's some guys that can do a little bit of damage in that lineup. Am I calling for them to beat the New York Yankees, which I think the Yankees have beaten them 9 straight games? No, I'm not. But I like to try to look at some underlying value as opposed to just saying, all right, we're going to ride the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Yankees, those team totals for the rest of the season, because there's some value to have in those underdog plays, and specifically when those guys are on the road like Boston would be for a full 9 innings. But you don't really want to mess overall a lot with that bullpen from the New York Yankees. So that's why I do like to isolate. I thought they would get 2 runs in the first 5 innings yesterday. Boston only ended up getting 1. But again, you're probably in that same realm. Today, probably 2. I can't imagine. It's got to be 2.5 in this one, because we're taking a look at a total for the game over at 10 across the board. So it's got to be up a little bit higher in that one here. going to ride the Yankees. I mean, it doesn't even matter who's in the lineup. Like LeMahieu's down now, Aaron Judge, Stanton. It's kind of crazy when you look at it. Like they just replace guys. Like Clint Frazier is on fire for that ball club, man. It really is. But then if you flip it over and take a look at Martin Perez on the mound, he struggled this year, 550 xFIP, not striking out a ton of guys, giving away a lot of free passes. But just looking at the limited at-bats for the New York Yankees versus lefties, it's not that good. Talkman's got a 0 ISO, Urshela 0.1, Ford 0, Gary Sanchez 0.125, Gardner 0, Frazier 0, Estrada 0. Now, again, limited at-bats, but Gardner's had 8 at-bats versus lefties with a 0 ISO number. So he's not driving the baseball versus them. So, I mean, it's something to keep in mind and certainly take a look at. What's one of the games also I was taking a look at? This Washington matchup. Anibal Sanchez has been horrendous to start the season. Everybody's drilling this guy. And I've been a proponent. Look, I don't like the Atlanta Braves, but the Atlanta Braves have won me a lot of money over the past. This should be a really good spot for the Atlanta Braves tonight. You're talking about ISO levels elevated for just about 8 out of the 9 batters. Only Ender Inciarte out of the 9 hole, where he's anticipated to bat today, has a low ISO number. Everybody else is elevated. And Sanchez is just that old innings eater type guy. Like if he's had, 68 batters that he's faced this season, a 485 weighted on base average to lefties, a 474 weighted on base average to righties. Who are they getting anybody out here? I don't know. Tuki Toussaint on the opposite side, struggling a little bit from the right side. He's a right-handed pitcher. But that lineup looks junk. Adam Eaton. I mean, Soto's great. Eric Dames, Carter Keyboom. Where's Spencer Keyboom at? Where the Keyboom brothers at? Lineup leaves a lot to be desired. So one of those spots that you're just looking for Atlanta. At home, they should win. Down in Atlanta, let's see if we get some weather down there in Atlanta. Like a little prelim shot. 86 degrees, wind blowing out. That's a great spot. That is a great spot. And we're certainly going to be looking at that a little bit later in the day. No question about it. And maybe like free plays is sometimes a little bit different because I like to try to get that video out a little bit earlier Monday through Friday because you look, the games are played at 7 o'clock and you can do that in the afternoon. It's a little bit harder on the weekends where you have those staggered start times and you really like 2 games at night. You like 2 games in the afternoon, but you want to see all the lineups out. So you have to delay. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like sometimes you think this is a really good shot, but you might have to wait on the lineup. Not really the case during the weekday. So we should be able to fire in a couple spots. I think that looks really good as well. Another interesting spot here on the card tonight as the team total matchup that we look at. Detroit and the Chicago White Sox. You get Gio Gonzalez on the mound, who I think stinks. Another old guy just spinning curveballs up there, 100 pitches in 4 innings. Weighted on base average 412 to lefties. He's a left-handed pitcher. And a 429 to righties. Elevated ISO numbers, not striking a lot of guys out, giving some free passes away. A lot of good weighted on base averages versus left-handed pitching out here for Detroit. Now, sometimes you have to take these with a grain of salt and say, look, I just have to trust the numbers because when you look at this team, Victor Reyes, Castro, Cabrera, Scope, Candelario, Maben, Lugo, Romine, and Jones, it's not a great-looking lineup, but they are damaging left-handed hitters, damaging them. Let's see if we can get a quick – I don't have any update here on the actual weather. I'll take a look at that a little bit later. But here's an interesting one where sometimes you look and say, eventually the team is going to wake up. And what I mean by this is the same theory of the Indians. You can't just keep on throwing good left-handed bats up at the plate versus righties and nobody's ever going to get a hit. And you saw the Indians sort of break out over the weekend. And we were waiting on that and finally were able to cash in on a few of those. But when you take a look at Boyd on the mound today for Detroit, an elevated xFIP number, not striking a ton of guys out. And again, a little bit high in walks. He's a left-handed pitcher getting absolutely raked. 76 batters he's faced from the right-hand side this year, 472 weighted on base average, and a 333 ISO. Like they are crushing him. Now, when you look at the lineup here for Chicago, you're waiting for them to wake up because they don't have a lot of great numbers versus right-handed pitching or left-handed pitching, but they're going to line up 9 batters from the right-hand side today. 9 of them against Boyd. You figure they should go to town on this kid. You should get runs in this ball game. Sitting at 9.5, they should be double digits in this game. No question about it. So there's a couple early ones, but also keep in mind, guys, I'm going to break all these games down, both myself and Jason Radowitz, 1:30 p.m. on Sportsbook Review. But also, if you're looking for the premium content that you need to win money, look, the best thing that I've always prided myself on is being on a third-party monitor. And since 2015, we've been absolutely destroying everything in its wake for the past 6 years on the monitors, destroying it. Last year, I had a great season in Major League Baseball. 1-0 this year, so open it up again. Hopefully, we'll get that 60% mark, that elusive number that you're looking for. 58%, we'll take it if we fall short of it. But it's about doing what's right for everybody and getting these numbers proper. Because look, we won Saturday night. I didn't have a game on Sunday that was like, hey, daily passes. We're going to sell some picks. We're going to give up these plays today. It's not the way we operate here. It's not the way we win money. It's not the way I keep clients around and keep people happy. But we're going to focus on some specific games today. We'll have a premium play because there's some really good games out here. Just have to wait on. But again, 1:30 p.m., we'll break it all down. If you guys haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, the follow button on Facebook, whatever that might be. Periscope, I think you can follow me on Periscope too. Same thing with Twitch. So my Twitch audience is building up as well, which I think is hilarious because I don't really know how to use Twitch too much. But I do have followers on Twitch, which makes me laugh. So it is what it is. But we'll be back on a little bit later today, 1:30. Keep an eye out on, too. We'll have a free play video today released in the afternoon for a Major League Baseball game that we could probably win some money on. And I certainly think we'll do that. Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by rightwager.com, August 17th, 2020. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m., and we'll get your day started in the right direction. Again, take care, guys. Thanks for watching.